As you can see, we have all of our ingredients organized for our apple and butternut squash risotto. This dish has that hearty winter vibe that leaves you feeling just oh so satisfied. Now, as always, it's important for us to prep our ingredients before we start cooking. First things first, I'm finally chopping some onions and slicing some garlic. And then after we have peeled and cubed our butternut squash into about 1-inch cubes, I find that this size will allow the squash to become tender during the risotto making process, but won't cook so far as to become mushy. For the apple, we are peeling and coring before cubing into a similar size as our squash. Now, the apple may end up cooking down a bit, which I actually don't mind. If the apple breaks down a little during the cooking process, I find it still leaves us with that gentle sweetness that pairs so damn good with our squash. And of course, I have chosen to use some fresh sage to tie all these flavors together, both for adding to the risotto, but also to add to our brown butter for our garnish. Once all of this is organized, I heat about 1 liter of chicken stock so we are ready to begin the cooking process. I start by heating over medium heat a couple tablespoons of olive oil and a little bit of butter in a pan. Once the butter is foaming, I add my diced onions and celery and allow this to cook while gently stirring for a couple minutes. After a couple of minutes, the onions should be tender, and at this point you can add your squash and apples. Give the contents of the pan a quick toss to coat everything in oil, and then at this point I like to season it with salt and pepper and add some fresh sage. Continue to cook while stirring frequently for a couple minutes. The contents of the pan will be smelling heavenly right about now. Now you can add your arborio rice and continue to cook and stir, coating the kernels of rice with the fat in the pan. After a few minutes of cooking, you can add your white wine, followed by more enthusiastic stirring. Once the wine has reduced and been absorbed, you can begin adding about a 1/4 cup of hot chicken stock at a time with consistent stirring in between additions. Each time the stock is almost absorbed, you can add another 1/4 cup of hot stock. This process can seem labor intensive, but I promise you your hard work will be worth it. Using hot stock allows the cooking of the rice to be uninterrupted, while the stirring motion allows some of the outside starch from each kernel of rice to start thickening some of the broth into a creamy consistency. After 20 to 25 minutes, the kernels of rice will be slightly tender with a small amount of bite in the center. Be patient and continue to cook and stir until you are happy with the texture of the rice. When you reach that happy stage, you can add a drizzle of honey and season again with salt and pepper, and for that creaminess, stir in some freshly grated Parmesan cheese. Heat a 1/4 cup of butter over medium heat until the milk solids have browned and the aroma is toasty. Add some fresh sage and stir. Serve a couple spoonfuls of this sage brown butter over your risotto and another grating of fresh Parmesan cheese. Enjoy.